Section 8, Legal Hotline, Q&A, Part 2, Today's Fair Housing Rules and Regulations, 2026 Standard. Introduction, From Practice to Protection Under Pressure. In the last section, we focused on how fair housing laws translate into your daily practice, what you say, how you advertise, how you treat clients, and how you manage risk. Now, just like we did in Section 4, we are stepping back into the real world, where those practices are tested under pressure. Think of this as the next level. If Section 4 introduced you to legal hotline scenarios, this section sharpens your ability to identify red flags faster, make better decisions, and protect yourself when clients push the boundaries. Because in 2026, agents are not just expected to know the law, they are expected to stand firm when others try to break it. Every situation below reflects something that happens every day in real estate. And just like before, the difference between compliance and violation comes down to how you respond in the moment. Scenario 1. Seller refuses to sell to non-U.S. citizens. You're sitting at a listing presentation. Everything is going well until the seller says, "I don't want to sell to anyone who isn't a U.S. citizen." Now you're in a tough spot. Do you take the listing and work around it? The answer is clear. You should not take the listing. Refusing to sell based on citizenship ties directly into discrimination based on national origin, which is a protected class under the Fair Housing Act. Participating in that request would expose you to civil liability and potential license sanctions. This ties directly back to Section 7. Your role is not just to follow the law, but to refuse to participate in violations, even if it costs you business. Scenario 2. Fair housing logo in text messages. Let's shift to something more subtle. You're under contract, coordinating inspections, and another agent tells you, you need to include the fair housing logo in all your text messages. Sounds official? But is it required? No. The fair housing logo is required in advertising, not in communication between agents during a transaction. Texting another agent about logistics is not considered advertising. This connects back to Section 6. Advertising is one of the highest risk areas, but not every communication falls into that category. Knowing the difference protects you from unnecessary compliance mistakes. Scenario 3. Language accessibility in the brokerage office. Now let's look at a brokerage level issue. Your office is located in an area where a large portion of the population speaks Spanish, but your fair housing poster is only displayed in English. Is that enough? No, it's not. Under federal law, failing to provide meaningful access to individuals with limited English proficiency may be considered discrimination based on national origin. The brokerage should display the fair housing notice in both English and Spanish. This is a perfect example of modern discrimination from Section 3. Not intentional, but still impactful. Scenario 4. Familial status goes beyond immediate children. A tenant applies for a rental and states that their 12-year-old nephew will be living with them temporarily. The landlord says, "We don't allow kids." At first glance, this might seem like a gray area, but under fair housing law, familial status protections extend beyond just biological children. They include situations where someone has custody or permission to care for a child under 18. That means the landlord likely cannot refuse the rental unless proper documentation is not provided. This ties directly back to Sections 3 and 7. Familial status is one of the most commonly misunderstood protected classes. Scenario 5. Service animal fees and HOA rules. Now let's revisit disability protections. A tenant moves into a property with a service dog. The HOA says all pet owners must pay a $75 fee for DNA testing. Seems like a standard rule, but here's the problem. A service animal is not considered a pet under fair housing law. It is an assistance animal, and charging a fee for it would be discriminatory. This ties directly back to Section 4. Reasonable accommodations must be made, and policies must be adjusted when they conflict with disability protections. The pattern. What all these scenarios have in common. If you step back and look at all of these situations, a pattern emerges. Fair housing violations rarely happen because someone says, "I want to break the law." They happen because a client makes an improper request. A policy is applied too rigidly. An agent misunderstands the law. A situation feels unclear or uncomfortable. Your job in 2026 is to recognize these moments instantly and respond correctly. Because once you participate, even slightly, you are part of the violation. The 2026 standard. What is expected of you at this level? Compliance means more than just avoiding mistakes. It means educating your clients when they are wrong, refusing business that violates the law, understanding subtle forms of discrimination, Applying fair housing principles consistently. This is what separates professionals who simply know the rules from those who truly practice fair housing at a high level. Online discussion. Question 1. What should an agent do if a seller requests discrimination based on national origin? Answer. The agent should refuse the listing and not participate in any discriminatory practice. Question 2. Why is a service animal treated differently from a pet? Answer. Because it is considered an assistance animal under fair housing law, and charging fees for it would be discriminatory. Question 3. How can language barriers create fair housing violations? Answer. Failing to provide access to individuals with limited English proficiency may be considered discrimination based on national origin.